Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Electric Boogaloo, The Quickening. This is a long title, but this is the fourth movie in this kind of updated Apes movie franchise universe. It's been, 7 years since we've gotten the last one, Rise, I believe it was, with the conclusion of Caesar's story. And getting into this one, I was cautiously optimistic because the last three movies have been fantastic. Now this one, I'm like, are they gonna mess with Caesar's story? Are they gonna build onto it? Are they gonna kind of go in the near future? And they kind of do a little bit of everything in this one, where it very much is like generations after the fact, and Caesar is no longer around, but there's kind of rumblings, his teachings, and his ideology that's kind of bled down into the apes and who they are now. And the thing about that is it really builds in this interesting concept of twisting things, of how things or messages have kind of changed over generation and generation. Honestly, one of the things that I can compare it to is religion. Like the idea and ideology of Caesar and what people have kind of manipulated his thinkings or his teachings into is one of the key aspects and very interesting as these apes become more and more human-like and kind of have their own world, teachings, community. I'm all over the place, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but like this story basically, like I said, it takes place generations after Caesar's story, following a young ape named Noah as he goes on a journey that will lead him to question everything he's been taught about the past and make choices that will define a future for apes and humans alike. Yeah, with this being very much generations removed, it's more post-apocalyptic, and that's one of the things that I absolutely love about this is the VFX, the setting, the lore, everything that they put into this. It makes you feel like this is post-apocalyptic porn because you can see the decrepit city of the old world beneath these kind of lush green vines and overgrowth fauna that is essentially the new world. Horizon Zero Dawn. Anyone that's played that game or that franchise, the opening with the buildings and the growth, fantastic. Mwah, chef's kiss. So not only from the world, the buildings and everything is the VFX fantastic, the visual effects on these apes is it's what's made this trilogy or this new updated franchise so amazing, because these are freaking just humans doing mocap, and I am fully ingrained 2.5 hours. I don't even know that these are not real. These are fake characters because there's so much emotion that's built into the eyes, the characters, the just little visual facial tics of each of the characters. I mean, Owen Teague as Noah, the main character of this, his voice, the him voicing and really bringing character to this Noah ape was fantastic because he has kind of this internal struggle. He's trying to fit in with his family. He's trying to fit in with his clan or his tribe, which that's just another thing. They've made such a world out of this where there's different tribes of these apes. One, like, for example, this one, they're capturing and training ravens. So, like, are there other apes in the world that are, like, harvesting grain or fishing or anything else? So the ideas that they build here, I want to see expanded even further. And I gotta give credit to, obviously, the director, the filmmaker here, Wes Ball. His previous work has been more of the Maze Runner movies. If you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. And I was a fan of the first one, a fan of the second one, the third one, not so much. I don't even know if they made a fourth one. But kind of the way action is shot and flowed and works in that movie, you see transitioned into this, and it's not action-packed. I would say that, you know, Rise or Dawn are way more action-packed than this movie, but when there are action scenes or the tension in those scenes, it is hitting on all cylinders because it's very tense, it's action-packed, it's like, I don't know where this is gonna go. So surprisingly, Wes Ball, he was a great choice for this movie, and I'm not gonna say that or discount the Matt Reeves trilogy because those were fantastic, but this was just the perfect handoff of a baton, and he is just running. So give this man a trilogy of these movies as well to make up for the failed Maze Runner movies. Now, reeling it back a little bit to the individual characters, I thought that the main character of Noah, very interesting, very conflicted character, and then him meeting a Raka character, one that kind of actually ties this movie with the older trilogy. And it's interesting because, again, they live in this world, but their ideas of kind of humans versus apes versus Caesars and the teachings and how things have kind of been manipulated and changed over the years. So I thought that that character was a very interesting foil of not really knowing what to believe as the story continues, because he's learning more and more about himself, his apes, his family, and what Caesar's teachings were, and what humans were or are now and what they were before, because they do a great job of really having this kind of like childlike wonder and discovery in this movie. But as more and more of these characters learn more and more about themselves and the opposite, I guess, race or whatever, like humans versus apes, it becomes a horror movie in a sense. Like, again, they're learning and they're like, oh my gosh, like the world was like this, the world was like this. They're looking through a telescope at one point, and then they figure out, oh, this was actually a very bad time for us, and I'm glad that, things aren't like history anymore, if that makes sense. Like, so that parallel against the apes versus the humans, you can see as like a metaphor for just humans in the world that we've been raised in. Like, look at the last 300 years. There's some similarities. The villain of Proximus Caesar, who again is, doing his own thing and then also taking teachings of Caesar. I wouldn't say that he's as great as the villain in Dawn. I can't even remember his name, but Kevin Durand voices this character. He's good. He is very good in this role because you can see how he too is kind of dealing with these muddled teachings of Caesar and taking things from here that he likes, not so much over here, and then combining it with the history that he's learned. You see how this ape wants, apes together strong, this methodology or whatever, but you can see that his teachings that are from humans, because there's, a human hanging out. It's a whole thing. I'm not going to spoil it, ruin it, or whatever. But he basically learns from humans and the history of humans, and you can see how that is essentially manipulating his own mind into changing his thoughts on humans, apes, and just the world in general, where things should go. So I thought it was really cool how essentially, like, history is slowly warping this character, even though he's so far removed from that. It's the idea of evolution and how his brain is kind of manipulating that whole concept and wanting to, like, forcibly accelerate that idea, essentially. I don't know, in closing, I really had a great time with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I mean, again, visually stunning, fantastic. I would say that this is going to be the tee up to the summer movie season, and then Furiosa next week. One thing I will say right before we close out, I did have kind of a bugaboo. I mean, I wouldn't say that this movie, I'm gonna give this movie high marks for sure, but there was kind of a 20, 15, maybe 30-minute section towards the second to third act where it's kind of like this human conflict and them going back and forth, and again seeing different ideologies between these two different human characters. It does show how, like, the humans and the apes are still very much similar, but I felt like it slowed things or put things in this weird tangent that makes sense, that plays into later aspects of the movie, but it just felt like it was out of place or just didn't hit with the characters. Maybe that's what it is. The character motivations, or who we know of these characters or we've learned, it didn't add up, really. Again, a small bugaboo. Overall, though, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, fantastic. Thumbs up. You gotta go check this out. In closing, I'm gonna give this movie a solid 9 out of 10 bananas. Get your potassium, because this movie is hitting on all cylinders. I think the biggest thing is just the humanity, which is weird to say, that is brought to these apes that are on screen, and just the visual effects. Like, go in, enjoy this world. You're transported to this entirely different world for 2.5 hours. You don't feel the length at all. It is fantastic. Anyway, that is my review of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I'm going to try to get back into these longer form reviews, so please let me know what can be changed, what you liked, what I don't know. Just give me all your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. And also let me know, what did you think of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? Thumbs up, thumbs down. You're throwing it all the bananas. Let me know anything and everything in the comments below. And obviously, follow me here, follow me on my other YouTube channel, and all of my other social media accounts, because I am doing a lot. There's a lot of stuff out there. So, yeah. Thumbs up, apes together, strong bananas. We did it.